Thanks
Thank
for
you,
having us
Leo.
on.
Hey, Andrew.
Hey, Leonard, you savage.
So, and
I'll give a little summary. I mean, if anybody's aware, like last year I had the calcium score, which is a 5-minute non-invasive procedure, costs about $100. Just because I watched a video on YouTube called the Widowmaker, you know, about the plaque buildup in certain arteries where it leads to a Widowmaker heart attack. So I got it, and the score was through the roof, but I was always asymptomatic. And I thought maybe there was an error with the score, maybe it was a typo. So, I mean, at 100 to 400 in the score puts you at risk. Mine was 63.59. So, I got put on statins and baby aspirin. But I've
I thought it was
been fine. No, 63.59.
my God, okay.
Yeah, I've never met anybody with a score like that. I don't know how I got.
No.
But lately, here in the past couple months, like I've been messaging you on Instagram. I had like anxiety, like not necessarily chest pain, but a sensation and bad anxiety attacks. I couldn't put my finger on it. You know, any substance I would use, whether it was like CBD that contained a little bit THC or kratom, would give me like serious anxiety, like horrible. Like had to go to ER a couple times just to see, what they could do. So last Monday, I go into work. And I was like, it felt like my sternum was a little sore. Then I started getting bad anxiety attacks and like hyperventilating. I got dizzy. I was like, I better go get this checked out. So I went to Greer Memorial Hospital, and EKG was fine. Troponin levels were fine, but the doctor came in. She's like, with your high score and your family history and everything you told me, she goes, I really, urge you to stay overnight, get a stress test. So I was like, yeah, I'll go ahead and do that. So I did the stress test the next morning. I aced it physically. They ramp it up to about 15-degree incline. And I was like jogging, had to get my heart rate up to about 150. And then they inject the dye in your arm to look at your heart. So I'm like, yeah, I'll be going home soon. So the female doctor's like, well, if you see me again, it means there's bad news. So sure enough, she comes into my room, says they saw a spot on my heart, which means like restricted blood flow, from the time you have the stress test to afterwards. So she's like, we don't have the resources here. We need to ship you to Greenville Memorial Hospital where you can get a cardiac catheterization tomorrow morning. So I'm like, shit. But, I probably in hindsight should have done this last year when I found out about the calcium score, but I didn't. So I did the cardiac cath last Wednesday, and it revealed 2 arteries that are 60% blocked. And one was 80%, which they said they can't stent it. It has to be 70% or more generally, but I don't remember why they said 80% one they were going to leave alone. And there was 100% blockage on a small artery, but miraculously my body grew a bypass artery. So that one was fine. So I guess I lucked out. I didn't have any stents, no bypass surgeries, but, aggressive medication from here on out. Yeah, do it. It's not like I'm going to make a ton of money off these videos. It's like, I know guys want to bodybuild and power lift, but if there's a smarter, way to do it, we have like genetic testing and all this medical technology. Take advantage of it so you could prolong it. So you're not going through shit like this at 42. That's basically what that video was about. So
No problem. I'm very sober right now as far as hearing that message from Andrew. Exactly. I just saw it last night where he spoke about that with the being hospitalized again. It's kind of it smacks me in the. I don't like to hear that, but I guess we got to face it.
Yeah.
What's the silver lining? Like I may have mentioned, to me, it's just it's grown my faith in God once again, because I had gotten away, but because I was like terrified of, when they told me there's a 1 in 1,000 chance you could have a stroke or a heart attack or death during the cardiac cath. So I'm like, luckily everything moved rapidly and it was done in the morning because I couldn't sleep all night thinking about it. I'm like, let's just get it over with. And could have been worse, could have had bypass or stents, but I believe it's the grace of God that, with a score that high, it doesn't bode well usually. And I haven't had a major event, thank God. So. Oh, of course. Yeah. I mean, I don't feel like muscle aches and pains like a lot of people get, but I'm sure it's affecting my strength. And now they double the dosage. So yeah, if you'll just message me with that name, I see my cardiologist on New Year's Eve. So I'll mention it to him.
Yes. The positive effects I receive, they continue to just give me that clearer thinking and to rationalize certain situations and take out amazingly the ego and past experiences And I'm just thinking through on a clean slate, if you will. And I'm going at it impulsively as far as I need to do this, I need to do that. I'm sort of more laid back in that regard. But when I'm able to need to turn on the switch, like in the gym, I'm able to do that. You know, I can summon that very quickly.
Your
So,
problem is it doesn't.
yeah,
last.
we need to get something new. We got to get Nick Trigili on it because now he has that problem. He's in denial too.
When he's referring to him being a closet porn addict. I've heard benzos are hell to come off of too, right? Benzos. Didn't Jordan Peterson recently come off them? He made a video. He was addicted to them.
Leo and Andrew, what are your thoughts on gabapentin? Because I know somebody that said they're using that to get off Phenibut. Everybody's using something to get off another thing. And I'm like, what is that going to do for you?
Yeah, exactly. Just putting a Band-Aid on it. I got some from just because of the anxiety I've been going through lately. My mom gave me a couple 1 milligram of what is it? Ativan. I mean, they work. I can see how they're addicting. But I was prescribed them in the past, but I got off them. So, but gabapentin I've never used. Actually, one of my stray cats had an injury a couple of years ago, and I brought it to the emergency vet, and they gave me a liquid gabapentin to give to the cat for pain. But that's my only experience with gabapentin. Well, they put me on 2.5 milligrams of Norvasc, which is supposed to help with angina, but and then the Plavix, which that's a blood thinner. But yeah,
Norvax was the nitrate that you were taking, right?
no, it's
You're
not
not
a
taking nitrate. They were recommending. I remember looking them up.
Well, they gave me a script for nitroglycerin too, just in case.
Yeah.
But
I'll tell you that.
yeah, it's a low dose Norvasc. It's like, was it a calcium channel blocker, I believe?
Oh, the calcium channel blocker, exactly.
So,
Which could
but-
be useful, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Lenny, I wanted to ask you, is the plasticity still there in the brain? Like, do you still feel like very flexible mentally?
Sure. Yeah. I'm able to think clear, make wise decisions, not think as impulsively, and see things for what they really are, and put my priorities where they need to be as well. So what was the name of your friend, Barack Obama?
Is the level of like inhibitory signaling scary for you, not having that GABAergic inhibition all the time? Like, do you feel on edge at all?
Yeah, I'll admit there was some anxiety, but I always go back to the realization, you know, Chuck Yeager passed away today or yesterday. And what I've done in my life pales in comparison to what he's done, traveling at the speed of sound, being a World War II fighter pilot and getting shot down in Germany and continuing to survive on his own after coming down on a parachute, as well as going into outer space. That brings me back real quickly.
So, Andrew, how was your move? The last time we talked to you, or the last time we were talking in detail, you were moving and we were supposed to come on the podcast. What changed? Did you get a new job? You moved to a new place?
No, I just
You moved?
yeah. Well, no, job didn't change. I moved in late August. The guy that was renting me a room got laid off from Steeled Air Corporation. They gave him a severance package, so I was like, the deal was he was going to be in Atlanta most of the time, so I'd have the place to myself. So I didn't really want to live with anybody. So, I mean, it benefited me. I was able to save money, pay off some bills. So I told him initially I was going to move out in October. So I gave him like 2 months notice. Then he comes back the next day. He's like, well, can you go stay with your parents or find a different place? He's like, because I'm selling the house and it's only going to sell in the summer here. Houses don't sell in the fall. I'm like, well, let me go back to the apartment and see what they have available. So I ended up taking this place, which it worked out better. This is a nicer apartment. So I moved out in August. I like it.
You do? Yeah, it's hard to live with someone as an adult. That's crazy.
Yeah, you just one of them people. It's like I get home from work like 9 o'clock. You know, I'm washing my my food prep dishes and stuff, and he's like just talking about bullshit, and I don't want to hear. Oh man.
Said, how you
Sounds
doing,
like-
Andrew?
Yeah, Lenny knows. Like when he lived with the Nelsons, which is another topic. We could talk about that experience.
What's that?
This guy
Live with
was
some
a work
hillbilly.
that he lived with.
What's the deal? Tell the story.
Well, they were from Tennessee. The son did a 4-year sentence for cutting a Delray Beach police officer with a box cutter while high on crack and masturbating in his car. And, yeah, And I needed a place to live, so I figured he'd be going in prison. I could stay there. Unfortunately, his parents came to the house the whole time, and they were, Tennessee as it gets. And I get up in the morning, and I try to make a shake because I used to work in the morning. It's like 5 a.m, stuffing everything to a blender, the protein, the banana, the milk, the peanut butter. And the old man sitting on the kitchen table smoking. Hey, Laney. I said, yeah. You want to hear the joke of the day? And he called 1-800 number on a phone, and the stupidest, corniest jokes you could imagine. And it would take him 5 minutes to say it. And yeah, it was rough. Just.
They were, the Nelson's mother was from Brazil, I believe, and they had a really hot cleaning lady from Brazil. And one day, me and Mike T were in there shooting up. We come outside, and Mike P is like, hey, Rudette, why don't you set Lenny up with the cleaning lady? And she looks over her shoulder. She goes, Lenny only likes black girls.
He was half Brazilian and half Tennessee.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a hell of a mix. That's more. I've never been to Alabama though. I have a lot of family in Alabama. I'm very curious how they live, but I've never been.
A little slow for me. Too slow.
Yeah. I think it is slower there. Life is just slower.
Did you ever see the movie My Cousin Vinny?
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly. About Alabama.
Is that Alabama in the movie?
Well, they got some big cities there. I've actually been through there. Like the University of Alabama is a big college town, Montgomery, but the rest of it is like super slow, like even slower than where I'm at. We don't use the R word, Lenny and I. We don't believe in that term.
Yeah, I actually don't believe in that term very much either. But
it's too watered down these days and overused.
Don't you agree, Lenny? Lenny wants to say a lot of stuff.
They can call me whatever they want. They can call me whatever they want. It's really insignificant to me.
You used to become a person of color with the melanotan, though, I got to tell you.
True. It's a good way to trick people psychologically. People are so weak-minded. Remember the rednecks in my old neighborhood when I do my cardio walk, they would ask me if I'm African-American while I'm walking. And I'd say, so I'd walk, continue walking. Say, so what if I am? What are you going to do about it? But I did get pulled over by Palm Beach County Sheriff's deputies quite a few times, riding my bike home from work late at night and asking what I'm doing in this neighborhood. When I got darker, so that is true.
Lenny, didn't you say one time you were down in like a McDonald's in Miami, you were real dark with melanotan and all the black people in there were looking at you, go, you look different, boy. What hood you from, boy? He'd be looking different.
Yeah.
He'd be talking different.
My grandmother lives up the street. The difference between me and you is I'm not a cookie cutter. I talk like I want to talk. And you all got to talk like,
What is a cookie cutter? That's a good point. We should have said this at the start. What is a cookie cutter, Lenny? Because that's why I named this card. I believe in this. What is a cookie cutter?
Very simply, somebody that copies a behavior, the way they talk, the way they act, the way they look, off of something they've seen in an obvious way. I mean, you could say, yeah, I looked up to Bill Kazmaier and Lou Ferrigno and such growing up, but I took, things from them, somebody outstanding, but just to be an across the board, covered in tattoos, with a backwards cap like Dale Chance would have, tattoos like Brad would have, certain cars like people would have, and talk in a certain way like some of this New York wops do.
Exactly.
That's a cookie cutter. Cookie cutters are conformists, they're sheep, and you see where the sheep are being led now to their own slaughter.
Black sheep. That's exactly what this is. It says black sheep. Just so you know. Exactly.
I like what you said, Leo, about like not, taking everything your professors and everybody said in college as gospel. Reminds me of an interview over the summer with the Motor City madman Ted Nugent. He was on the London Reel, and he was like, the guy asked him, the interviewer, what advice he can give to young people. He's like, whatever they're teaching you in college, he goes, go look up and research the opposite. Which, if everybody did that, we wouldn't be in this situation with this summer of, I don't need to mention what went on all summer in this country from the brainwashed college types, if you catch my drift. Other than like the hard sciences, mathematics, engineering, I wouldn't trust any of that shit they're spouting in these colleges. Unless you go to like the Hillsdale College up in Michigan, the conservative one. And we got one here in Greenville, Bob Jones University, which the liberals say it's a cult just because it's a Christian college.
You guys got to have children.
I know. I was discussing it with a coworker. He's conservative. I was like, yeah, we really need more like good conservative, Christian, whatever, children. And Sarah Fuller kicking a shitty kickoff for Vanderbilt.
Tell me this deal with the Sarah. Tell me the story, because I just watched the video before you came on.
I don't know where I saw it first, on my YouTube feed, because I'll look at like NFL highlights, or if I saw it on like Google recommendations and it says female makes history playing collegiate ball. I'm thinking, oh, what was she, linebacker, nose tackle? So she actually played an actual real position. So I watched the footage. She kicks it off. My mother could kick it off better than her. Then she runs off the field and everybody's hugging her. She's getting all these accolades. In the video I sent you, if you notice, it's 2-to-1 ratio of dislikes to likes. So what is so great about that?
So I heard she gave a halftime speech and chewed the team out in one of the games. And the players were like, we're not playing anymore. And she's going to get $1 million in endorsements. She's going to be the most highest paid Vanderbilt graduate ever for doing that. I mean, why can't a man go on the women's basketball team and play? What is going on here? And the media to celebrate that garbage, like Andrew said, put her at nose tackle, put her at running back. Let's see how good she is then.
I thought she joined the team by the
ESPN Courageous Athlete of the Year award. You watch over Alex Smith, who had a horrible surgery and overcame that. That's what's going to happen.
So I thought that she joined the team. I was like, oh, this is why they're clapping, and they're like, this is a historical achievement and stuff. No, they just let her kick the ball, and they were like, this is a historical achievement for humanity.
I thought she was an actual position player, like she played the game, like she was taking like blocking, tackling, like playing football, but not what she did. And when I was in high school, we actually had a girl on the JV team named Corinne Brown. She had a big fat butt, and they said she held her own out there. She didn't make it to varsity, but she was on the JV team. She was from
Andrew, you got a good idea. Why don't you get your mother to kick for Clemson?
I should.
What do you think Dabo would say? What do you think about that, Dabo? That's the media put into the forefront day in and day out for the last 50 years and really turning it on.
Yeah.
Media. That's simple.
You mentioned to me Kaz, by the way. I met Kaz with Scott Mendelson before. It was really quite an honor. I want to see him again. Hopefully we'll get you on with Scott someday. Scott's going to come on the new arm wrestling show we're going to have.
Great.
And then, or maybe we'll get Andrew, so Andrew can tell him about how strong he was.
Yeah. Now, when are we going to get to Fuad?
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about that guy. Good point. So do you know what happened?
Yes. I understand he's had some kidney issues, and he really isn't using the best protocol for it. I feel for him because I even told Andrew this when Andrew lived down here. Him and Fuad are the same age, and they look the same, and I always said they were very, comparable at the time.
Oh, in terms of size.
Yeah, I would like to see Fuad do like Andrew does, go off his performance-enhancing protocols and compete against Andrew in the gym and on stage. That's what I want to see. And I think I don't want to take it upon myself to issue a challenge on Andrew's behalf, but I hope Fuad hears it because I'd like to hear it. I'd like to see it.
I don't know if you know Tom Prince. He's out in California. Lenny and I know him from Florida. He was a freak. Nice guy, too. We used to train at the same gym at the World Gym in Boynton, but he goes for dialysis, I believe. He's got kidney issues.
And
this isn't Canada, Fuad. This is the United States of America. We have freedom of speech. We could talk about anyone we want, whenever we want. And you don't like it, come down and punch me. When he hits me, I don't call it violence. I have another name for it.
Maybe we got to get because there's going to be a big showdown between Jay Motor City Madman Masters and Adam Winston from McLeod. December 26th, they're going to box down in Florida. Maybe we got to get Fuad to box somebody. We'll do it for charity, and all parties will benefit. Let's get on it, I think.
Yeah, I'm right here, Fuad.
Absolutely. I don't think that's at all immoral. We could totally box if you want to.
Shave the beard, Fuad, because you suddenly grew a beard as soon as I grew one. And then you got your head shaved too. Before your hairstyle at a beauty salon your whole life.
Yes, he looked like. Did you see his model pictures that he posts on his things? He's like posing in
No,
this.
I didn't.
This guy's trying to be a tough guy. What? I mean, this is the guy who steals lunch in school. I don't understand what this guy is threatening people for. He's a ridiculous guy. But anyway, look, I'm not going to hate on him anymore. I'm just going to comment on the educational stuff. But you're right. Hey, I'm shocked. There's a fight between Adam and. Are you serious?
Supposedly, Adam McLeod's training diligently at Spanish River Park as we speak. So,
That doesn't sound realistic.
Well,
you know what's on the line?
Adam will be there. Question is with Jay.
Instagram account. If Jay Masters loses, he's got to give up Instagram forever.
And if he doesn't show up, we got to be worse than how many times has Jay backed down from somebody, including me, including you, Andrew, including Lou,
DJ at the Olympia.
Braun, you name it.
On with his pink suit at the Olympia.
And the ultimate tough guy, Ray Country Crush Cody.
Oh, you guys know him? I know him personally, by the way. He's Scott's friend. How do you know him? Yeah, he always mentioned Jay always mentions him. By the way, that guy's an arm wrestler.
Is he?
He got Scott into arm wrestling. He's a cool dude. He's hated in arm wrestling, but he's a cool dude.
Yeah, we met him out at the Olympia in 2018. Doesn't he build like strength equipment?
Yeah, the Country Crush stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a tattooed, very tattooed guy.
His lives are pretty entertaining. Lenny likes to send them to me.
I never seen them. What does he do in them?
I don't know. He was ranting about some broad telling the one he sent me was like some girl was
talking about his son, telling his son what to do.
Yeah, in his house. He's like, this girl is in my house. Tell my son to get out of the house.
Well, I spoke to him and he said he talked to Jay and he says, Jay, if you want to fight me, he says, that's fine, but you're going to be in a coffin in about 30 seconds. And then he told me that he was in prison. He did a stint and he says, to me, prison is playtime. He told Jay that. And of course, Jay put his tail between his legs.
Wait, I thought Jay was friends with him. I thought he was Jay's buddy.
Well, Troll apparently said something about Jay, and Jay thought it was Ray, which it wasn't. So what did Jay do? He went after one of his kids, which is typical Jay Masters protocol.
So Jay's basically so drunk. Let's just be honest. He's so drunk that he's making like wild mistakes. And he's getting in the states, which are real. I knew an alcoholic very closely personally, and I've seen a lot of this where sometimes when you go on a lot of benders, your soul gets really weird. You start to get evil and stuff. So I'm always saying that if I think if Jay gets sober, eventually his soul will, I hope he has a good soul. Let's just say that. But he does love to threaten people's kids. So Hamburg, that's the one that upset me. So I blocked Jay. I told Jay, first of all, said he's going to be the only Delray Misfit that never comes on my podcast. He said that in one of his lives. I was watching it. I was like, what the? I closed it. I was like, why would you say that? First of all, I always invited you. I showed up. You didn't show up. And then you want to do it the next day, and I didn't have time, so I couldn't do it. But the other thing is, like, when he threatened Hamburg, you know how I know about this, by the way? It's not because I'm friends with Hamburg and I love him, but that's not the reason. It's because he tried to send it to you, Lenny, but he sent it to me, unfortunately. By accident. Hamburg sent the video to me, and I saw it, and I was like, what the hell? This guy's mentioning this guy. So there's too many kids' names. So anyway, for me, Jay is not invited on my show until he gets sober completely or something like that. You think so too?
Exactly, but you don't have any kids he can come after, so you have nothing really to worry about.
Well, those trolls were trying to find my mother and stuff like that. So that was really upsetting, especially because of all the difficulties she's went through in her life.
Expect anything from them. That's the way to deal with them.
As long as you don't lie about yourself. Like, for example, the trolls, the first thing they said is, Leo Rex is not his real name. Are you an idiot? My father's Arab. My name means lion in Arabic. That's why I call myself Leo. Everybody knows me as Leo. Scott Mendelson does, Mike Armrest. Everybody in America knows me as Leo because it's hard to keep telling people my name. It's not easy to pronounce. So I go by that. Rex means king, you retard. Lion King, that's what it means. It's obvious. Every king in history writes Rex after their name. That's what it means. I wasn't hiding anything. As long as you tell the truth about yourself, trolls can't do anything to you unless you have a job or something like that, which the whole horrible thing that happened. By the way, how depressed I was when that happened to Lenny. I was following everything. I
expect trolls to do that, but what I don't expect is some anonymous administrative woman who doesn't have the guts or the professionalism to sit down and speak to me face to face and bring whatever allegations are to the table, which first of all, from what I understand, wasn't anything illegal and didn't do it at the workplace. That's who I point the blame at.
So
Because you can't stop the trolls.
a few of us have talked about this. I've talked to Aladdin about it. I wish somebody would try to, some of the fans or some of the maniacs would try to help, because there is no way they can do that in this political climate, what they did to you. You could actually undo it. I think you could sue them, because it's like, you could say it's like a personal sexual expression or something, because it was,
I'm not above saying I'm gay to get what I want. I'll say it because you're gonna have to prove it. No,
you don't
so
even
they
need
want to play that game. I'll play that game too.
It's
And I
worse.
intend to do it.
It's more exactly. They play that game, and it's worse than that, because they're not being only homophobic; they're being transphobic, and that's a no-no. So it's the perfect time. So if any maniacs will research the laws or help, I bet we could get Aladdin to help. I can help if we know the laws. If somebody will get something together, we could get you like your retirement back. They would not hire you, but they give you retirement.
You're a lump sum.
Yeah.
But anyway, Aladdin and I have big plans. He'll be coming down soon. So,
By the way, have you been coaching other people? Because I really feel like other people should hire you.
yes. Well, it's not been on a business-like basis, but it's definitely been through direct messages and things like that. They said that when you start your business, you really don't want to go after profit immediately. You want to build a base. So that's what I'm intending to do. And I'm researching different methods every day. And like I said, I could get anybody. I've done it myself. I can put 100 to 200 pounds on somebody and I can get them shredded. I've done it. Meow Man's done it. And that's the bottom line. I can't change my genetics. I admit I have made some errors as far as maybe
Actually, let's know.
sensitivity.
Lenny, I mean, what was the guy's name? Big Steve, IFBB Pro. I never heard of him, but he made a comment earlier in the year when Lenny was on with Dave saying, "What's this fool know about bodybuilding?" But if you
I never heard of her.
Yeah. They hand out pro cards like candy these days, but that's besides the point. But the fact is, if you look at Lenny year to year in the southern states or whatever show he did, except for the tail end, he made progress. And that's what bodybuilding is about. Yeah, he's not the most genetically gifted, but he got leaner when he had to get leaner at the one southern states when he was in his best shape. And then when I moved up here, it was like he was bigger and just as hard. His glutes were in. So people could say whatever they want, the gut issue aside, but he made progress. And as a matter of fact, he made more progress than me, because I'll tell you what I did wrong in the off season is I didn't eat enough. I could diet all day, 16 weeks, whatever, and follow it to a T. But you got to stuff face in the off season. I got a little lazy, to be honest. That's why my legs didn't grow, and I could have been a lot better.
Andrew, to me, I hate to say it, I said it before, you could have easily dominated someone like a Jay Cutler had you eaten like him. Yeah. Because he admitted his training wasn't heavy and hard as intense as yours.
Yeah.
He did a lot of volume, but he ate like clockwork, and he knew, had people around him that knew how to do that. And that's
I always remember what Jay Cutler said too, and I did the opposite. He said in his off seasons, he goes, "I don't eat for taste," whereas I would just eat for taste in the off season instead of eating like 2 cups of rice with every meal, like 12 ounces, 16 ounces of potatoes, more steak. I should have done all that. I would have been a lot better. I could say that without a doubt that I would have been a lot better if I would have ate more in the off season.
I agree.
I would say from knowing Scott Mendelson, his max raw bench press, I think was 715, right? Was probably 715. It was the record when you did yours, I think. 650 is what you got.
Yeah, to tell you the truth, I've watched a bunch of YouTube videos lately. Some of these guys from like Elite FTS, were like cream of the crop, trained with Louis Simmons, they would do an hour video on bench technique. Whereas if you look at what I did, I'm laying flat on my tippy toes. Had no idea that I had to.
Shoulders are out. Shoulders are out.
Yeah.
I don't know how you kept your shoulders.
No leg drive.
Yeah.
No leg drive. No arch properly.
No arch. I didn't know what an arch was. I didn't know how to engage my lats. It was just like totally flat, and I never attempted it till that day. So could you imagine, had I stayed injury-free and got some of this coaching, what I would have done?
I tell you, probably you would have been the world record holder for sure. You know what I mean?
Maybe that genetic makeup has something to do with that high C-reactive protein score.
Or the CAC score, you mean? Yes, that's what I was just thinking.
Yeah.
Could be so good at synthesizing cholesterol and dealing with hormones.
Yeah. Hamburg says I have Viking blood because my test levels went from a 32 to a 400 without any drugs in a year.
Wow.
Yeah,
They're like, if you're big, they can test you on the street. Police can stop you.
What? Yeah, Michael Savage, he's a conservative talk show host. He always mentions it. He's like, what happened to all these Vikings from Sweden, Norway? Where are they?
They're in Norway. They're in Norway and Denmark. The Norwegians are still very different. They don't have that kind of, they're not very liberal.
Leo, were you alive when President Reagan said, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down that wall? Were you born yet, Leo?
Yes, I was.
Were you? Okay.
Yeah, I was born in the 80s.
Okay.
Yeah, but just at the tail end. But, you know, I remember the 90s very well because my childhood was very memorable. So I remember like when I was 4 or 5, and I remember the 90s a lot. I remember all the music. I remember how it was like. I always feel like the 90s was a special time. But did you guys feel that way too, being a generation older than me?
Definitely. That's when I met and trained with Andrew. That was our peak years.
Yeah, the late 90s, early 2000s.
How many years was it that you were screaming Andrew Kalura before he even came on the show? Your friend from back in the day, you're on YouTube, 100,000 people watching you, and you're talking about Andrew. They never heard of Andrew. People wonder, who is this Andrew guy? The loyalty in your heart.
Well, that's a crime. And even if I didn't train with the guy or didn't know him, that needs to be brought to the forefront. That's spectacular athletic feats. They want to celebrate a basketball player or something like that. It's ridiculous. Now, to me, that is one of the biggest waste of time anybody could do is continue to play basketball.
Oh, yeah.
And watch that on television. Look at the people that like that.
How about LeBron just signing a two-year, $85 million contract? How about that?
For what? I don't even like saying that guy's name.
No, I don't say the name.
Knows into politics and social causes.
Is he into that stuff too?
If I ever ran across, I'd get in his face. I guarantee you that.
Yeah, people really love these guys a lot. But apparently, Lucy was telling me yesterday that apparently this Kobe Bryant guy was actually a good guy. He was like married to the same woman from before he ever became rich. Stayed with her the whole time. Like, he had morals and stuff. That's why they're missing him. Because I was asking her, why do they keep bringing this guy up? He's a basketball player.
I don't know if did anybody forget his rape allegations?
Oh, that's true. But that stuff was false. I think that was false because the lady had semen from like 15 people.
Yeah. Speaking of that, whatever happened with
he just froze a little bit, but he'll be back. He got stuck in an interesting position, huh? He's just stuck there. It'll change, I'm sure. He has no idea we're talking to.
Olympia the year we were there.
You're back. You've been gone. What happened?
I don't know what happened. Who got disconnected?
What did you say? No, it was just you. What happened? What did you say?
With the Sean Roden rape allegations, whatever happened with that?
All you can prove is they had sex. You can't prove that it was rape. So the risk of sending someone innocent to jail should always be, you know what I mean? But if it's not true, I mean, I don't know.
Like that guy, the video Lenny sent me the other day about Jarvis J. Masters.
Who's that?
It's a Buddhist that did life in prison. He's trying to say that he's innocent.
Once I saw them getting tattoos, I started wearing long sleeves.
That's Andrew has a tattoo. You can't, you're a young guy, you can't blame him. Hey, I took you kind of things I did.
1996 in Pompano Beach and Harley Haven. It was the first and the last one I got.
What was it?
You youngsters out there, because Lenny pulled me aside and said, why don't you tattoo some muscle on your body, boy?
Yeah, at least you explained it. Brad, I'm still yet to get an answer after all these years of why he has all those tattoos. Next question, if he ever has the guts to come back on your show.
I'm sure. No, we should get him on. We should get him and all four of us and get Andrew once. Andrew said he'd be willing to come.
Great. Brad got a lot of views on his interview, I see, with you.
Brad got the most. I think it's because Brad posted on his Instagram. You don't know how to post on your Instagram, and you don't have anyone around you who does. So so nobody knows that the video comes up. Brad posted. You have to always ask Brad to post your videos on his Instagram.
Oh, okay.
That's the way. Yeah. Andrew got the most though. Andrew got like within a day it was 9,000.
Wow.
I had like 2,000 subscribers. But anyway, I wanted to ask a final couple of things. So what do you think about everything going on with the election?
They're going to find definitely some corruption. The media is going to downplay it. And I hope Trump makes it life miserable for him. And I hope he never concedes. And I hope they keep fighting and dragging it out. Because the truth has to come through. There's been some corruption, obviously. And that's got to stop. And the media refuses to acknowledge it from day one.
So one thing, you go ahead, Andrew.
I was going to say election night. I remember going to bed and he was ahead in certain states, Georgia, all these states that they're investigating. Then I woke up like I usually do at 3 or 4 in the morning, and I put on YouTube, and it was one place they said they're counting the ballots and the roof leaked or something, and all these weird things happening, and just come on. They've been after this guy for 4 years. Yeah, speaking of that, I was reading this publication I get. It's called Imprimis by Hillsdale College, and it speculates that the Antifa and BLM have been funded by the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. Like Lenny said years ago, remember him telling me in the early 2000s, the Chinese are going to have us living in tents here because we owe them so much money. Our future is Sarah Fuller kicking off in a Vanderbilt game. Meanwhile, we're going to take on China. Like that, huh? Yeah, it ain't going to go too well, Leo.
I think that's the best way to end it.
Yeah, Commander-in-Chief Kamala Harris.
Yeah, well, God help us.
My God. She is so difficult to listen to. Do you guys how do you tolerate that? I can't even, I can't.
I thought Hillary would have been bad to listen to, but if I got to hear her voice for 4 years.
She's like a bimbo I've talked to in a bar. Nothing more, nothing less.
Why do
people have the worst attitude?
Why do people smile when they're angry at the other person? Like if you're arguing with someone, why are you smiling? It's the creepiest thing on earth. It's not bitchy. It's just creepy. You're weird. Why are you smiling all the time when you're in a debate?
She's got
What about a couple of weeks ago when people were like, was it Siri or Alexa? And they're like, Siri, how old is the president of the United States? And it says, Kamala Harris was born so-and-so and so. Isn't that strange?
That's great.
There's absolutely no way that Biden can figure out. I mean, I can see neurodegeneration. I've been reading so much about this stuff. It's very easy to see it. He's not in there. So basically, I don't know if was it like a goal that maybe, I mean, he's not going to function, so he'll drop out. So she becomes the president. Is that
he's not the Black Lives Matter candidate. He's not. She is. It's that simple. Chinese, like you said, the funding from the Chinese government.
That's a good point. Biden actually, they really hate him, the BLM, because he said some things about separation in his early life, and they forget about him.
He's mentally unfit to be president. That's why they put that thing in, that clause recently. It wasn't for Trump, for him. And I blame Richard Nixon for that, assisting Golda Meir in Israel and kissing the Chinese communists at Deng Xiaoping's rear end in the 70s.
Yeah,
the Republican Nixon for that.
Yeah, actually, I have a book that's